I want to go back to the funding component, especially you mentioned the word vote. Now, Dr. Pinckney, we've all seen school board elections where the candidates run. It's very political. One thing school board candidates often don't talk about is the budget. Even incumbents don't talk about the budget that is also going to be voted on the same day. And isn't that a major problem? Especially Westbury has now been on austerity for several years. 4 years. And you had 2 incumbents run last year, put forward a budget, never mentioned it. In all the handouts that you saw during the election, there was never a mention of, I'm running for school board and I endorse this plan that I'm putting forward. Frustrating for a superintendent?
Absolutely, because what you're getting then, Danny, is that the board is not supporting its own budget. That it is accepting numbers, it doesn't give you the kind of scrutiny that you would want and expect, and therefore you put together a budget, you present it, and in the Westbury community, unfortunately, we've become accustomed to defeating budgets, and so the board members do not run an election on the budget. They run for the other reasons. But that's also a notion you need to be mindful of, and I know time is short here, that you also need to look at the kinds and caliber of individuals who are indicating an interest in running for the board. Again, in days gone by, there were a different breed, a different caliber of individual committed to, concerned in, committed to education and concerned with the children. That's not the issue anymore. It's politics that you're speaking about, and that therefore interferes with the ability to run the school district.
Dr. Bickney, do you believe that the system, the way it's set up right now, and I'm talking about school boards across the island, is this perhaps a system whose time has come and gone? The reason why I ask this is we're talking about a group of laymen, they're not educational professionals, laymen, who are suddenly responsible for millions of dollars, as well as the education of young people, making decisions, very important decisions, as to how this system is going to be handled. I see problems with that. Is this the way to go in this day and age, or not?
I don't think that we have to change the format of board. I think we need to look at more stringent requirements for people to be on the board, and also requirements for them to take certain kinds of workshop and training while being a board member.
Okay.
There are some people who get elected to the board, and that's the last public thing that they do, is to get elected to the board. They go to no workshops, they attend conferences, and they really didn't come with an interest of education. They came with a purpose of possibly a stepping stone. It might be a political job in the village, or it might find them another position somewhere else in the county or in the state.
But an agenda other than education.
Yeah. See, I call it role-goal confusion.
Okay.
And by role-goal confusion, I mean what Bob just talked about. Board members, by and large, do not come to that experience with the requisite kind of training. So they become confused in terms of what their role is. Rather than being a policy establishing board, they want to run the schools. That's why you hire Bob Pinckney. And that confusion is what causes a lot of the problems. Now, that's an education thing. But I think what's happened in our communities is that we have failed to see that public education is a $400 billion business. That's what it is. We still think naively that it's an educational institution. No, it's not. It's a training institution controlled by people in power to provide jobs for their constituents and contracts. That's what public education has become. And we haven't, in school we used to call it a cultural lag, Bob. We haven't caught up. We haven't caught up with that discrepancy. And until we do, we're still going to get beat up, Michael. You understand what I'm saying?
Now, very quickly, as a final question, who should be setting the expectations for school districts? I just spoke to Richard Mills, the Education Commissioner, on Friday. He's going to be speaking before the Long Island Association later this month. And one of his prime messages is the business community has to come in and be involved and set expectations for students in order that they can then have jobs later on, that they can add to the local economy. Very quickly, I want to ask each of you, who should set the expectations for students in the classroom?
I'm going to say this is a responsibility of the nation. A nation is as successful and will live as long as the citizenry is educated. So this is a national problem which encompasses everyone's responsibility, not any one person or individuals.
Very quickly, Michael?
Clearly, it's got to be a mixture of a number of things. Obviously, the parents, business, the faculty and staff of the school, and of course the oversight on the state as well as the federal level.
Okay, we're about out of time. Sorry, Dr. Clark. I'm Danny McCue of Anton Community Newspapers, and you've been watching Insight Nassau. Thank you. Good night.